This is a new feature. Sitting in a car park review. Because we're between films. So we've seen one film, we'll go to the other film. The first film we saw was Dungeons and
Dragons Honour Amongst Thieves.
That's the one. Which I liked. Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was quite humorous. There were some nice nods in there. Are we doing spoilers? We'll do spoilers, will we?
Yeah, might as well.
So I liked the reference to the 80s cartoon. The fact that that team showed up as one of the other teams in the arena thing they were doing. I thought it all looked very good. I thought it must have been a fortune on a CG budget. I did have a little sleep at the beginning, I'm not going to lie. But you're the D&D fan, as demonstrated by your t-shirt. My t-shirt is... And...
Because it's reversed and a bit blurry, my t-shirt basically says Chaotic Stupid is not an alignment.
Is it reversed on the final video? Is it just the screen we're watching it on?
I don't know.
No, nor me. Okay, so I'm going to let you do all the talking.
This could be a very short video then, just so you guys are aware. I loved it. This is the film I hoped the god-awful Jeremy Irons film from 2000 was going to be, but sadly didn't end up being that way. I actually must admit, never clocked it was bloody Michelle Rodriguez at first. I thought, oh gosh, she looks an awful lot like Michelle Rodriguez. And then of course the credits rolled, and it was, so that's possibly why. But no, I mean, I've wanted to see this movie since I saw the trailers, because it's everything I used to want as a kid. Because it always used to be that sci-fi movies were the big kind of like blockbuster budget draw, and fantasy movies you tended to get, I mean, very good ones. They were, I mean, you know, some of my favourite movies, but they were all very low fantasy. So things like Lady Hawk, or I think the closest you'd get would be kind of the Jim Henson Workshop stuff with things like Labyrinth, things like that. So it tended not to be like spell slinging, whereas, you know, of course, sci-fi was always like, you know, lasers and sort of, you know, battles and excitement. So this was kind of everything that got me into fantasy, essentially. Full disclaimer, I've never been a huge Dungeons and Dragons like RPG sort of nerd in that sense. I've got pretty much all of the PC games, but most of my sort of tabletop role playing was other systems. But I do know a lot about AD&D, because I think, like most people who kind of like that, you kind of grow up on it. So there were some...
Isn't AD&D a thing children have when they run around a lot?
That's ADHD.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, it was a lot of... I remember I turned to Paul when we were watching the trailers, and I'm thinking, they've got Red Wizards of Fae in there, this is going to be set in Faerun, which of course is like the main video game setting that I kind of grew up with from a PC perspective, and of course it was. So yeah, there's lots of nods in there that I kind of recognise from the setting, like Baldur's Gate, obviously the Red Wizards of Fae. Had great fun kind of, you know, kind of working out the character archetypes from the movie. I mean, it was very well done. I think for me as well, essentially this was like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign put to a movie. You know, it starts off with the whole sort of, right, we must do this, but in order to do this, we must do this first, sort of thing. You know, the classic sort of quest tropes. But there was great chemistry among the cast. I mean, I like Chris Pine as an actor. I think he's a very kind of natural comedic actor, and him and Michelle Rodriguez had really good chemistry. But all of the others kind of worked really well as well. And Daisy Head, I think it is, as the kind of the main villain, who says actually very little. So kudos, Daisy. You probably got paid a decent whack for actually having very few lines to learn in it. You just got to basically stand around looking slightly weird and menacing. But you do it brilliantly, so well done you. But yeah, just there are a couple of things that I genuinely kind of squeed at. I basically gave the simple reaction that Paul gets when he watches, especially some of the Star Wars stuff, and there's like little nods, like whenever R2 gets mentioned or something like that, or like little nods that a lot of stuff that was happening with the current season of Picard, where you kind of clock what's happening, and sort of the noises that Paul would make were basically the noises I was making while watching this movie. So yeah, a big thumbs up from me. I would, if you like fantasy movies, if you like Chris Pine, if you like Michelle Rodriguez, if you like just popcorn movies, this ticks all of those boxes. It's absolutely worth going to see.
Cool. Yeah, I was. There were points where I was thinking, have they scripted this by just playing a campaign?
100%.
And just gone, right, just write all this down as we go along.
Roll the dice. Roll the dice.
Yeah, because there were just so many, and it was exactly like I mean, I played it a bit when I was young. I wasn't like a big into it or anything, but a lot of my friends were, and it just really struck me as that whole, this happens, you go into a room and there's a this, roll a dice, what do you get? No, it's a gelatinous cube that burns you to us, and then move on. It was that pace as well as
I just remember what the monster was called in the maze. Displacer beast, the weird,
the panther with the
tentacles,
fly trap on its back.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that was, and there was that one scene where they were at crossing the bridge that was very Mines of Moria, and the bloke stands there and basically gives like this insane combination of like, and it's a jump to the left and a step to the right. That's the time warp, but you know, and all that kind of stuff. And I was just thinking, this smacks of the tabletop game. 100%. You've got to take 2 steps to the left and then 1 to the right, and then you've got to do a lattice step or what, I can't remember.
Right down to the rest of the party listen to him, which is exactly how I think most people who've been around a tabletop while the dungeon master has their character explain this, just looking at them like, we are never going to remember this.
Yeah, but I would be the one that went, I've just put my foot on the bridge. That was absolutely my role. I can remember one game, a dungeon master getting really, really hacked off with me because we've been playing for like a week solid every night after 6th form, and I was just bored. I had enough. It wasn't really going anywhere. We were just doing a lot of walking and meeting a thing, and then we either defeated it or we didn't defeat it. I had to go around it. That was it. So we turned up to this thing, and they looked at me and said, "Right, it's your turn. What are we gonna do?" And I went, "We're all gonna sing at it. Poopy poo pants, poopy poo pants." And everyone thought this was hilarious. Started doing it, and the dungeon master lost his shit and kicked me out of the game, which is interesting because it was at my fucking house. Anyway, I think I just said, "Fuck you, leave you to it." And
I must
went upstairs and played my tape.
I think the only thing that was unrealistic about this from a campaign perspective is that none of the characters got sidetracked by a completely irrelevant sort of NPC character and actually followed that storyline instead of the main sort of thrust. So, you know, the scriptwriter for this was clearly either a very good or a very draconian dungeon master that kind of kept them all on the main campaign thread.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Or it's just stuff that just got cut because this is a movie and blah, 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 blah. I think that's probably more likely.
The real movie is actually 13 hours long.
It is.
Involves a lot of time in pubs.
Yeah.
Looking at sort of suspicious looking hobbits.
So there we are. That's our thoughts on Dungeons and Dragons. We're going to go in very shortly because we are going to see Renfield.